Okay, nistu nitanaku aktima. Magdutu Piikani. My English name is Katherine Smalllegs. The translation to my name Aktima is loads on her back. And I am from Piikani Nation. Just talking a little bit on truth and reconciliation. I am the second generation out of boarding school, so my grandparents attended. I didn't attend, but my parents, however, did attend day school, and they were affected by it a great deal. I just turned 40 this year, and I am still dealing with the effects of it. We actually have just come out of some things that we dealt with within our own immediate family that were direct effect of childhood trauma, and that childhood trauma stemmed from the residential school because my grandparents who went to residential school, so on my dad's side there was my grandfather Nakyokiayo, Andrew Smalllegs, and my grandma Ininaki, Bernadette Smalllegs, also McDonald from Kainai Nation. And then my mom's parents, Rose and Dennis Pard, I'm still learning their Blackfoot names. And so I only recently learned of, their stories within, I want to say probably within the last 15 years. I started to learn more about that history. I never really understood all, what we went through. My trauma started around the age of 5, and that came with like addictions and that kind of stuff. And so I never really understood like why I went through stuff that I did, growing up, and all this kind of stuff that my parents went through because of the abuse that they went through in their life. And it was very tough abuse. It was, physical, it was mental, it was sexual. They went through that abuse, but I only started to learn of that as I got older, and even more so now as I'm going back and starting my healing journey. I started it about maybe 8 years ago, and now I'm finally starting to understand why I went through everything that I went through at a young age. And so I'm learning more and listening more to the stories so that I can have a better understanding of why I had to go through all the trauma I went through when I was younger, and kind of put it all into place so that I can continue, because I now have children. And I often hear people, especially at my generation and a little bit younger, maybe a little bit older, saying, we should get over it. It was a long time ago. Like, people really don't have the true education of what had happened in our history, because it was so hidden. So, a lot of us are just learning that. Like I said, I'm 40, and we're just now learning how to heal ourselves. And we're accessing, it's crazy because I feel like the Western world now kind of thinks we're all crazy. The way this is just like I guess a layman's way of looking at it, like we're all crazy. So they have like therapists and all these kind of stuff, and like all these kind of healing to get like to balance ourselves, like all that kind of stuff, which that was who we are before. We were very balanced people. We were very at one with Mother Earth and with nature, with everything. We were very balanced. And so now it's kind of seemed like reverse, that we're using, the Western way to kind of heal ourselves now. Before, I couldn't talk about it. I was always like very hush hush, and like, because our people became very, we became very separated when at one time we were very united. And that was something that we really thrived on, and we really honored, and, to be connected together, and right now we're so divided. And with our way, when I was young, I was a little girl, and I remember my grandfather, Andrew Smalllegs Nakyokayo, and my grandma Bernadette. I'm the one of the oldest granddaughters in both my mom and dad's family, and I seen a lot, and I went through a lot. And one thing I do remember is, um, being raised with down by, the flume where we're from, like where my one of my clans are from, and the Omioxics. And I remember being there in ceremony through our sweats, and with my grandpa Jimmy Small Lakes as well, and my grandpa Andrew. They taught us a lot of stuff, or us older, ones, but we went away from that, and going back to, these things that are helping us heal now. We have to go back to that, because that's, to me, I believe that's our true healing, is getting connected with, you know Mother Earth and Istabaktabil. He's our main. Istabaktabil is our one who we live for. I feel like I'm finding my true identity through my home, and trying to work it out and fix all these things in my home. We went away for it for many years because of all this trauma, and you know, we went through away from it because of grief, loss. We had a lot of loss, and a lot of that came from addictions, from our people masking what they've been through addictions, or through, a lot of stuff. Like, our people are very strong people. They're very kind. They're very helpful. They're very, they'll give what they have on their back for people, but it's, it's very hidden, because we have so much on us because of all this trauma. I think in order for us to really move forward, there has to be a lot of understanding from the outside world. A lot of education, and educating people to why our people are the way they are today. And that we can't just get over it. And it wasn't way back whenever they think it was. It's now. It's still now. It's still living. It's still living through my children, because my parents couldn't break all the cycles. They tried the best they can. Then now it's me. I couldn't break all of the cycles. Now it's my children, and hopefully soon we can get it out of the children. But there is there is a lot of things that, some people, they're living a good life in the Western world, financially, materialistically, that kind of way. But they're still on our nation, or they're still amalgamated with us. And so it's so they're bringing that way towards us, and that's where you start looking down on our people, and that, like, looking down on each other, fighting amongst each other, because there's no true understanding. We're very mixed up. I think that with the true understanding of what we've really went through is is key into getting, real truth and reconciliation. Because I'm living today in 2000, August 8th, is it today, 2023? I'm still trying to heal myself, because my grandparents, and both my parents and my mom's parents, were very abused in boarding school, and they were never taught how to be parents, and my parents weren't taught how to be parents. And so now, and I was slowly, it's slowly coming out now that we're learning, as we connect back to who we are. And so I hope one day that we can, build those bridges and people can really understand, so that we can, continue on our healing journey and our people can come, because I truly believe our people are going to help everybody in this world, because we're strong people, all of our people, all of Piikani, all of Blackfoot Confederacy and so forth out into the other tribes, very strong people. I follow my grandfather, Napio Gayo, my dad, Manina. And, right now with me, I would be following my husband. However, he's Christian and he's still learning too, because he never got taught any of that. But I can't speak on him. But we're still dealing with, we got married 23 years ago. I was 17 years old. So I'm just learning stuff with him. And he had a lot of trauma because he's a little bit older than me. And he was one of the younger ones that are in my parents' generation. So they had a lot of trauma. He was one of the babies of their generation. He had a lot of trauma. So I'm still dealing with that too. And that comes from he has some really, really sad stories. I just heard a story from him talk about his dad. He went to go throw our garbage away, and he ran into a guy who was the same generation as them, my parents and my husband. And he went to go throw the garbage away, and he met him there. He's throwing garbage away, and he said that, hey, I wanted to share a story with you. And here he told my husband that the boys, they're his dad and the guy who was talking to my husband, his dad, and then my husband's dad, and there was a few other ones that were there. They're being naughty in boarding school, and they said that they brought them to the stairs, and it was like a cement stairs that went all the way down, and there was eight boys that were lined up on there, and my husband's dad was one of them, and then the guy's dad was one of them. I was talking to my husband, telling him this story, and he said he went to the littlest boy, and that priest kicked his back, and he went rolling down that, and he died in front of all those boys. And that was the first time that my husband came home, and he sat there, and he was so quiet, and then next thing here, he just went into like tears, and he said that he just started getting ready, and I said, well, what happened? And then he started telling me, and he said, I never knew my dad went through that. And so he went out there, and he started a process of trying to talk with his dad, but it never continued. So, those are the things like that. I only share that with my experience. So my kids are affected by that. Even though I'm a little bit further out, they still have a father that's in that generation right out of boarding school. Now I'm really, as I connect back to myself and my spirituality, I'm really seeing the true power of it, and I'm very proud of who I am and where I come from, and I'm going to continue working hard on breaking cycles and being that person, to lead my people eventually, and in my role as a woman, a Pi. So yeah, that's kind of, yeah, again.